Hello everybody, welcome to our first video on error code finding, what happens with the machine, what you do, what you look for when an error code appears. My name is Richard. I do all the technical support for Eurocool throughout the country for our clients, our internal people and external salespeople whenever their clients have a problem. As a lot of you will know, that error codes is the most daunting thing that you will get once a unit is installed and suddenly a horrible little error code comes up and then everybody runs around and becomes totally panic-stricken. Nothing to worry about because it's not that problematic as long as you understand what the error code is and you keep an error code list on the book that comes with the unit. We always got a habit of, oh, I know it, and I throw the book away because I know it. And then it comes in, when in doubt, where's the manual? Keep that in hand, create a library in your office, keep it, quick reference, and it has got a self-explanatory method of finding your error code. So let's knock off and give you a couple of most common errors that really floors a lot of people. E6 error code. Most common, popular, most come up. The E6 error code is telling you that the indoor unit is not talking or getting information from the outdoor unit. Very simple. On some of the Gree units, you've got a 1 and a 2 terminal separate to your power input terminal. Don't put power on those 1 and 2, and on the evaporator, on the UMAT series, you'll find 1, 2, H1, H2. H1, H2 is purely for a wired controller. It is not a communication cable connection. On your outdoor unit, you will just have 1 and 2. That is where you connect your communication cable. It's not polarity sensitive, but try and keep your color coding. If brown goes to 1, use brown to number 1 on the condenser as well. So the E6 communication error code is purely telling you there is no communication. So check the interlink cable between indoor and outdoor. And wherever possible on the slightly bigger machines, don't draw power, your power cable and your communication cable as one cable. Communication cable always separate to your power line. Because your power input, when it starts up, there is currents, magnetic field that runs around that little cable backwards and forwards, and the communication cable is more than likely picking that up, and it sends the unit into disarray and you find your E6 error code coming up. So keep those separate. On your smaller mid walls and that, no problem, it's only a 1 cable data line, so it will not be affected if it runs together with the electrical cable as in 1 cable going. So E6 is not that daunting. It's just basically rechecking your forward and backward communication. In the case of where your outdoor also runs on a printed circuit board, then there could be a fault that the unit is trying to talk to the outdoor but getting no response back. Almost like when you asked your wife to make you a cup of coffee. The response is slow. So check that you are getting power at the outdoor board. If there is power, then you can look deeper, because the indoor communication data line is the only communication between the indoor and the outdoor, and that is telling the outdoor what function to carry or to perform. So look and make sure that you are getting power firstly on your outdoor PC board. If you're getting power on your outdoor PC board, then more than likely check that data line cable, where there might be a break inside the electrical cable which you're not aware of. So use your multimeter. Very important part of any fault finding tool is your multimeter. And I've been to a lot of sites where when you talk about a multimeter, no clue, you ain't going to solve the problem. A multimeter is very important. So check, communicate, continuity between all the cores and make sure. The other thing is, I have been, times gone by, found that there's a floating neutral on the incoming power. So the unit is trying to get its neutral through the earth line. So always check, your first porter check is check between neutral and earth. Are you getting a voltage? If you're getting a voltage close to 220 volt, then you've got a floating neutral, and that is going to throw up an E6 as well. So that is your first checks. Once you've gone through that checks, your last resort would then be replace PC board. Not always do you have to replace PC boards, depending on how you view and how you've tested for that E6 error. So importantly, do the checks. The next very frequent problem or error, you'll find your errors are normally categorized E error codes, normally always refers to a mechanical electrical fault, electromechanical fault. And you would also come across F error codes. F error codes are mainly there to tell you there is actually something wrong with the sensors. A lot of times you find that you want to replace a PC board, but the sensor is faulty, not the PC board. So you go through all of that, replacing an expensive little PC board for a little item that costs maybe 40 Rand. You now paying 800 Rand for a PC board when it's purely the sensor. So whenever contacting our service division or contacting myself, try and give me the error code. It will be displayed on the evaporator front panel. Alternatively, if it is on a wired control, it will come up on the wired control. If it's showing no error, there is no error. Trust me. So look at the error. When you contact me, give me the error, give me the full unit model number, because there are other error codes in the 2 series that might be slightly different. Although Gree has tried through the years of their manufacture to keep the error codes as uniform as possible. So remember to keep that, and advise your field maintenance guys to always, when they take either a snapshot of the nameplate of the unit, even possibly a snapshot of whatever error code is coming up, because on the smaller units, it cannot store error code history. So you might find that you get to the machine and it's already displaying an E6 error code, but there might be another error code that had popped up before that. The unit will try and sort it out. 3 attempts, then it will lock out, and it will lock out on the last error code, invariably, which is an E6. So make a note of that. Other popular error codes would be your E3, possibly E3 would be a low voltage protection in some cases, or a low gas pressure. Now, a lot would say, but how can a sensor tell you it's low gas pressure? Well, very simple. When the compressor starts up, there is a tube sensor on the evaporator coil, and that has to change value within a given time, probably half a minute after the compressor starts. And if it doesn't detect there is a temperature change on the coil, it will kick out. And how the sensor works is very similar to a voltage up, amperage down, amperage up, voltage down. So you got that in resistance. As the resistance increases, the voltage drops down, and vice versa. So if there is no change, the error is going to come up with low compressor pressure, which we all know is gas. And the same applies to your E4, which is now a high pressure. Now that sensor, again, there's a pipe sensor in the condenser, in the outdoor unit. That has exactly the same function, but it goes a little further. If the condenser starts freezing up, it will also detect that, because now the resistance has changed completely. So you can always reconfirm if a sensor is faulty by unplugging it off the printed circuit board and putting your multimeter on kilo ohms and measuring what is the kilo ohms. And sensors in the Gree brand, there's only 3 valued sensors. Returning air, that measures the return air of the room space, the air-conditioned space, is normally a 15 kilo ohm. Never bigger, never smaller. So it's a 15 kilo ohm. Then you've got your pipe sensor. You've got a pipe sensor on the evaporator coil. You've got a pipe sensor on your condenser coil. That value is 20 kilo ohm. No bigger, no smaller. And on the bigger machines, it has got a compressor discharge pipe sensor. That is to switch the system off should the condensing gas leaving the compressor go way above the temperature requirement. So those are the 3 sensors, and that sensor is valued at 50 kilo ohm. No bigger, no smaller. So those are the 3 main sensor values on a Gree product. They don't change from that, where I've come across 15, 5, 10, all of that. Gree has a standard kilo ohm resistive load. Now those values are always based on an ambient temperature of 25 degrees. So when you're measuring it, you will find a slight fluctuation in the kilo ohms, but never a big change. It will be within 1-2 kilo ohm differential up or down. So if it goes way above, let's say, a 20 kilo ohm sensor and it starts reading 30 kilo ohm or dropping to 15 kilo ohm, yes, it is faulty. So always check your sensors when you are getting an F error code. So that is on that. One of the other problems that you might get on the more sophisticated inverter models is a mode conflict, which is not that important. You might find a FO error code. FO error code works exactly the same as a low pressure, a gas pressure, which is the sensors also picking up. So the chances are you might pick up an E5 or an FO error code. Okay, so the other important error is a conflict error. That conflict error is predominantly in the inverter. The inverter is more sophisticated, and that gives a bit of a problem, but there's a lot more errors in that. But we'll cover a lot more of those errors as time goes by, but we just wanted to cover the important ones. And then we got others like on the cassettes, water flow not, pump not working, float switch not working, and we'll briefly cover those in our next episode. So never be afraid to call us if there's a technical problem. No problem is too big to solve, and no question is too stupid to ask. Always ask us a question. We will assist you in the most speediest time possible, which we pride ourselves in giving feedback and assistance to all our valued clients. Thank you very much. Till the next video, goodbye.